My name's Kunal. I'm a vice president here on the investing team at Evergreen. Been with Evergreen for about 5 or so years now, and my key mandate is focused on investments in the technology services space, specifically within our managed IT services vertical.
My name is Sydney Hockett. I'm the vice president of M&A, and my responsibility is to oversee all of our M&A for our MSP portfolio globally.
Cole Chisholm. I'm a vice president on our investing team. I've been working at Evergreen since 2020.
If you're thinking about selling your business to Evergreen, I would say there's kind of a couple of really important milestones and steps.
I would first start by caveating that it can be anywhere from 5 weeks to 5 years, and both options are okay. Because we're in it for the long haul, we have a lot of patience, and I think there can be value in building the relationship over time.
Even before you get into the diligence period, there's a lot that you can be doing as it relates to your business and preparing yourself for a potential partnership with Evergreen. Some of the things that you should consider doing are engaging counsel, having someone that's there to represent you, represent your interests, and we're happy to provide a list of recommended counsel as well to the extent that's interesting to you. Secondly, taxes. This will hopefully be a kind of windfall financial outcome for you, and as a result, there will be tax implications for yourself to consider. And so starting to get a head start on what that could mean for you is really important. And then lastly, one of the most critical parts of the process is just the finance and accounting side of things. And so whether you have a full-time finance resource today or whether you have someone really good outside the company that helps with your books, just making sure things are as clean and as well accounted for as possible. But the most important thing I would emphasize is don't change anything. Like, the fact that we're in a conversation is because you've built a really good business. So stay true to how you operate and do so in a clean and very hygienic sort of way.
Let's say we start talking to a business that is ready to, in the near term, think about selling. We'll have an introductory conversation. Myself, one of my team, get to know Evergreen, get to know the business. This diligence goes both ways. This isn't just us asking questions. It's our job to also explain what we do and what our plans are for them and their business. Once we have that, if we think there's a mutual fit, we'll go ahead and request some basic data. I think this can always feel like a bit of a challenging step, but it's easier than expected. We're really looking for past couple months of raw financials, some customer data without names, and an org chart. And that really is it, to be able to get to a point of saying, do we think this is a fit for what we're looking for, and how might we think about valuation and a deal? We can then turn around in a week or so and say, hey, this is what we think. This is how we would think about valuing your business. Let's say that all goes well. We'll go through the process of putting forward an offer and discussing with you kind of how that lands, places that need to be tweaked, what are areas that are important to you, important to us, and ultimately landing on an LOI that is amenable to both sides.
I think we're very transparent leading up to someone signing an LOI with us and throughout the deal process of what our side of the bargain is and how we're going to live up to our mission. And we're making big commitments on that. And we like to make big commitments because it holds us to a really high bar. But I think because of the trust that people place in us, and then we're able to deliver on that trust, people rate their experience very highly with us in the deal process.
Owners should spend time thinking about what is important to them. I think some of the most difficult conversations to kind of get to an agreement on are ones where sellers don't actually know what they want. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a huge decision and there's a ton of options, but it is important for them to spend time thinking about that. First and foremost, you think about this financially. It's more than a transaction, but at the end of the day, this is probably what you've put most of your net worth into. What is your plan for retirement? So how does that need to play out in order for that to be successful for you? And so understanding what that value is and when you need it to is important. Then I think there's some of the more qualitative pieces of, what do you personally want? Do you want to keep running the business but financially de-risk? Are you ready to transition out? Do you have someone in your business that you want to take over for you? Would you like help finding your successor? That personal plan is important. And then what is important to you for your business? And every buyer is going to treat the business a little bit differently. Do you care about the brand staying intact? Do you want to make sure the team stays intact? Do you want to blend with another culture? All of those questions that I think are important to ask buyers are often things that sellers are caring about. And then, I think there's unique things for each person that come up in every deal. But more so than what are those things, I think there can be a wide range. It's figuring out what they are for sellers.
The diligence process is intense. It's usually about 45 to 60 days. Some of the key components of that are financial due diligence, and I would think about it as like a mini audit of the books of your business.
We will bring in accounting advisors who will do what's called a quality of earnings process, which is looking at the financial statements and verifying the validity of those. And it's the most involved because I think it's probably the most different than anything that someone has done when running their business. And we work with the same firm on every deal. They've done 50 plus transactions with us, so they know the MSP space, they know the government services space, they know the ERP space well, and they know how Evergreen works, and so we're constantly improving that process. But you're not dealing with someone who won't know what an MSP is or won't know what your business does. But there is a certain depth to that process that just takes some time.
The second critical process is the legal process, and that's both kind of legal diligence, making sure things are in compliance the way they should be, as well as the legal documents that will form the foundation of the transaction.
We will have legal advisors who are negotiating. There's a lot of documentation that has to happen to do a transaction. So they're the ones who are negotiating that alongside your counsel, and then we will also bring in some market advisors as well who will do surveys of your customers and things to help us get a really good picture of the business. Alongside that, you'll be working with us and kind of the Grove leadership teams on just better understanding your business.
We're going to come out and meet you and meet other leaders on your team. We're going to hopefully visit the office and learn more about your business and how you operate, with the ultimate goal of putting together a plan for what the future looks like when you choose to partner with Evergreen. And that plan will be very growth oriented. So that's, how do we double the revenue of your business? How do we double the earnings of your business? And doing so in a really sustainable way. And I think that's one of the most exciting parts of the process, because you're not just partnering with Evergreen for a liquidity opportunity. There's a lot of other places you could go to get that. But the reason you choose to partner with Evergreen is because we believe that we'll take care of your legacy better, we'll take care of your customers better, and ultimately, we're going to be a growth-oriented partner.
You have a lot of knowledge that's trapped in your brain, and our goal is to learn as much as we can about the company so that we can be the best partners to you in the business. So there'll be a series of management meetings that are focused on the employee base, the customers, your processes, all with the eye of us figuring out how we can take that to the next level. Closing day is an interesting phenomenon where you've made it through this challenging process. There's real work that goes into the diligence process. You made a decision to sell your business, and this is kind of the culmination of that. And I like to joke that I have friends across the country and across the world of these business owners who have gone through that process with me. And on closing day, you get on a call with kind of all the stakeholders on the deal, and you run through some legalese, which is the final step of closing, and then there's some celebrations there. I think there's a lot of emotions that go into that, and but I think people are generally surprised by maybe how uneventful the rest of the day can be. There's obviously changes in your life. There's changes in your bank account, but you have to go kind of back to the day to day, and people celebrate as they see fit. So I wouldn't say there's this big blowout celebration. We are celebrating, but I think people take their own spin on it. We have a 93 NPS from people who have sold their business to us, and I think that's because we deliver on the commitments that we make in the process.
If I look at kind of the seller testimonials that we have, one of the most common quotes is a version of Evergreen did what they said they would do. And so that's really important to me, but I think that makes the process easier because we're being transparent. I think that starts at the very beginning, even before someone may be ready to sell, being really upfront about that and kind of educating from our perspective as a buyer on what we'd want to see and how they can build value from the very beginning is really important.
And our goal, again, we're doing this for the long term. The last thing we want to do is go be disruptive to what's happening at the business.